2, 1. Hello, John Sherry again, Real Simple People Tips, and today we're with Gary Lilliston from Bridge Media Services, and we're looking at real simple media. So, over to you, Gary.
Thank you, John. PR. Some people have got a good impression about PR, some haven't. Either through the press and media, spin doctoring maybe with the Conservative Labour Party. What I'm going to say to you is I've been in PR for 30 years, and there's good ways of doing PR and there's bad ways of doing PR. And I'm going to give you some really good tips on how to do PR. There's never been a better time than doing your own PR now, mainly through the power of the internet and spreading the word through the web. Basically, PR is all about shouting about yourself to your target audiences. So we're going to start with tip 1. Where do we start? Well, the beginning is the press release, a news story. This is like a stream feeding into the Nile. It's the start of the communication process, and from the press release you can break out all sorts of other information into case studies, articles, blogs, Twitter, tweets. So you've got material from the press release that you can then break down for all your other communication channels. So it's important to look at the press release as a concise and clear message.
Tip number 2.
Tip number 2 is, what are you going to write about? You have to think about this very carefully, and the key to writing a news story is coming up with the angle. It's important to create an angle, either feature or benefit, that's going to educate the audience. They want to hear something from you that says, well, I didn't know that, that's interesting. It's not an advertisement, so don't try and write it as if we do this and we do that. A simple tip really is, in terms of any news stories, to go on some of the websites, look in the Daily Mail, look in the press, see how stories are written. There's always an angle, and see how it's laid out. So think very carefully about what you're going to write, make it interesting, make it educational, and think about the angle, all important angle. That's what's going to lead you in, and then you can, it's a bit like the pyramid style of writing. You start at the top with the key angle, the key message, and then you break it out.
Tip 3.
Who are you going to talk to? This is very important, because if you're in a business, you're going to work out who your audiences are, and sometimes you might be in a business that's difficult. But look at this very carefully, work out your target audiences, and then think how you're going to communicate with them. Is it through Facebook? Is it through a particular magazine, trade magazine? Is it local newspapers? When you come to that decision, then you can start putting together your sort of press list and your outlets of who you're going to send it to. And it could be that you want to send information out to bloggers. Well, find out who the right bloggers for you, but get your database and your data lists together, your media list together, so that you know who you're talking to.
Right on that one, yeah. Number 4.
Right, this is a little bit cart before the horse. What we need to start out at the beginning is a strategy. It's important to have an overall strategy for what you're going to do, so that you decide then, I want to communicate to all these audiences, and I want to communicate all this information to these various audiences. So you need to come up with a strategy, and also a timeline as to how you're going to roll it out. When you're going to start, when you're going to finish, and put this together. You can then break out the individual stories. You can then work out when you're going to send the information to what communication channel, and that way you've got a fair assessment of what you're trying to achieve, go from A to B, and then you can gauge and measure how that's come across.
And finish it all off, tip number 5.
Tip number 5 is, like the sort of advice you get from your local doctor, be regular. Regularly put your material together, look at it on a month-by-month basis. Don't just whack some information out there and then do nothing for 6 months. It's important to build up regular communication with the audiences and to get all aspects of your business covered. There's going to be lots and lots of little news stories you can think of, blogs, tweets, it could be messages in Facebook, it could be working together to attract people through LinkedIn, but work on your strategy, work on your concise messages, and be lucky and be happy out there.
Fantastic. So that's 5 simple tips on media. Thank you, Gary Lilliston from Bridge Media Services.
Thank you, John.
And we'll see you soon with some more real simple tips.